You may remember a moment from long ago, perhaps a birthday when the room felt full but your presence seemed invisible, or a day when someone's gaze passed over you, unintentionally, yet leaving a quiet ache. Maybe it was a word left unsaid, a hug not given, a reassurance that never came. You felt the subtle tug of being unmoored, of not fully counted, of existing quietly at the edges. The world carried on, alive and full, and you carried a small weight, a gentle, persistent ache of feeling unseen. Sometimes it is easiest to sense in solitude. A soft pause, a quiet space, a moment when the world slows. You notice the way your chest tightens, the small tremor behind your ribs, the soft sinking in your stomach. There is no loud grief, no dramatic crisis, only the lingering echo of experiences where your presence was quietly overlooked, where your value was assumed, invisible, or deferred. It is subtle, almost imperceptible, but persistent. You may feel it in your thoughts. How often have you replayed moments asking quietly, "Did I matter in that moment? Did I count?" Perhaps you recall gestures of attention that never came, words of recognition that were withheld, or times when your contributions went unnoticed. These are not failures on your part, nor a judgment on others. They are traces of patterns you internalized long before awareness arrived. And still, the body remembers. It shows in your relationships too. Perhaps you find yourself striving to be agreeable, accommodating, perceptive, almost anticipating others' needs before your own. Perhaps you offer empathy and care with ease, yet quietly notice that the reciprocity is rare. You may carry a soft tension between wanting connection and anticipating its absence, a rhythm formed early on, where self-expression was tempered, measured, and sometimes withheld to maintain safety. And there is complexity here. Feeling unwanted does not always announce itself as overt loneliness. It is quiet. It is nuanced. It manifests in small hesitations, in the way you hold your gaze, in the subtle retreat before your voice is fully heard. It may surface as a pattern of self-silencing, or an internal script that whispers softly that your feelings, your presence, your worth must be carefully balanced against the perception of others. You may notice it in your body first. A soft contraction of the shoulders, a slight curling inward, a subtle holding of breath. These bodily traces are reminders of past adaptations, moments when visibility felt risky, when your desires and emotions might have been met with indifference, dismissal, or subtle disapproval. Your body has remembered, carrying these echoes with you into adulthood. Sometimes it is revealed in thought alone. Perhaps you catch yourself measuring your words, wondering if your needs are too much, or anticipating the reaction of others before you allow a feeling to surface. Perhaps you notice a careful diplomacy in your voice, a gentle holding back, a restraint that preserves harmony at the expense of spontaneous expression. These patterns are not flaws, they are coherent strategies, once necessary for navigating spaces that did not fully hold your experience. And yet there is subtle pain here, not the kind that shakes the body or demands attention, but a quiet ache, a sense of having once been unwanted, of having learned to inhabit the world cautiously. Perhaps it arises in reflection, perhaps in moments of connection where longing surfaces, perhaps in small pangs when a gesture of recognition is absent. The pain is not overwhelming, yet persistent, a quiet reminder that part of you has always had to navigate invisibility. But awareness transforms this subtle ache into insight. Carl Jung observed that being unnoticed or unwanted is not a measure of your value. It is a reflection of the patterns and dynamics of the spaces you have inhabited. He spoke of the unconscious shaping experience, how early patterns of attention, recognition, and care create rhythms that carry into adulthood. Observing these patterns allows you to see them without judgment, without shame, and without urgency. You may notice the relief that comes with this recognition. Not a dramatic lifting of weight, but a soft easing, a quiet understanding. You see that your habits, the self-silencing, the careful management of presence, the subtle monitoring of others' responses are coherent, human, and understandable. They were responses to circumstances that required awareness and caution. And seeing them clearly offers a small, steady comfort. You were adaptive, attentive, and capable. Reflection allows grounding. You may notice your breath, the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the weight of your body supported by the surface beneath you. You may allow your mind to linger on these patterns, observing them as one would notice ripples on a calm pond. Awareness does not demand correction. It does not insist that patterns disappear. It simply illuminates them, providing clarity and a sense of presence that feels safe and steady. And there is subtle freedom in this awareness. You may allow yourself to inhabit moments without anticipation, without measuring worth or seeking approval. Perhaps you notice small openings in conversation, gentle moments of authenticity, or quiet self-expression that does not rely on validation. Awareness gives you choice, not obligation. Reflection offers perspective, not pressure. Recognition becomes its own kind of solace. You may notice the ways these early patterns have shaped relationships and interactions. Perhaps you have developed extraordinary sensitivity, empathy, and attentiveness, noticing nuances others miss. Perhaps you have learned to be reliable, thoughtful, and present, qualities born from patterns of attentiveness established when being unwanted was a quiet reality. These are strengths, coherent with your history, carrying forward into the present. And yet there is also gentle permission to soften. You may notice moments where self-expression can emerge, where your presence can be acknowledged without compromise, where your voice can inhabit space without fear. Not as a demand, not as a performance, but as quiet, intentional inhabitation of your own life. Awareness allows this subtle expansion, reflection allows patience, and recognition allows grounding. There is also a rhythm to emotional experience that emerges when you witness patterns gently. Joy, sadness, longing, and hope may flow quietly, without urgency, without need for performance. You may allow subtle currents of feeling to move naturally within, observing them with patience and presence. Reflection becomes its own form of companionship, and awareness itself offers a soft comfort. Sometimes hope emerges in these small realizations, not sweeping or dramatic but steady and grounded. You may notice that your presence, your awareness, and your subtle patterns are valid. You may allow yourself to be present without constant anticipation of acceptance. You may allow your emotions to exist without immediate expression or justification. Awareness provides safety. Reflection provides clarity. Recognition provides gentle reassurance. And if you return to this space repeatedly, you may notice quiet shifts. You may allow more subtle expression, more mindful presence, more intentional authenticity. You may notice that patterns of self-silencing are not erased but can coexist with awareness, gently shaping rather than limiting. You may inhabit the world with clarity, steadiness, and patience. Awareness gives choice. Reflection gives grounding. Recognition offers comfort. Finally, there is soft self-compassion. You may notice that feeling unwanted in the past does not define your value, that early patterns do not dictate your present, and that your presence matters to yourself first and to the world in its own time. Awareness allows understanding. Reflection allows patience. Recognition allows peace. And in these quiet moments, you are safe, observed, and understood by yourself, at least. And that understanding offers steady, quiet solace that does not depend on anyone else's acknowledgement.